Ellie Bell. Alrighty. Hey guys, your old pal Brian. It's the dead of winter here in Florida. It's probably 65 degrees today. And just got back from... Leave it! Come here, come here, come here. Hey, 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 come here. No, no. Whew. What the fuck? There we go. Rates are a little high. Yeah, I forget this thing doesn't have
12.1 volts.
Had the original
5 minutes.
gear on board, which is a tad more forgiving to a stick banger. How are we doing? Oh, we're doing great. So yeah, welcome back to my channel. I was deployed for 10 days in the Keys to help with, the euphemism is displaced vessels. So the long and short of that is that when the hurricane came through, it knocked about, I don't know, 1,600 to 2,000 vessels around. The federal government got with us and did a $70 million contract on removal of those same vessels. The running joke is there's probably 600 of them that were derelict before the storm. They just simply had never been worked by the local population of wildlife officers. Ellie, come. So the nuts and bolts of the job were is they sent 10 of us down. There was a captain who was a chief admin officer. He signed off on the destruction of a vessel. His lieutenant who went ahead and made certain did the first audit on the case. Actually, the second audit. The first audit was done by
11.9 volts.
Either me or a local by the name of Jess. Jess was an officer down there, 27-year-old snowflake cunt, who literally exhibited the exact same behavior of a 7th grader, female. Odd. One of the worst experiences I've ever had dealing with another officer. In fact, by day 5, some other staff, because I never complained, said that I should get a medal for having dealt with Chief Cunty Cunt.
3 minutes.
And my captain happened to be there. Well, actually, they addressed him, and he said, what's the problem? And I said, she's bad news, and you've known me for 17 years, and I can work with anybody. I'm going to continue to work with her. And he goes, nah, go play. So for the last 3 days of my deployment, I drove around the Keys. My captain's an amazing guy. Absolutely wonderful.
11.6 volts.
So that's how that went. Man, I need to soften up these sticks on this thing a little bit, because if it was windy out here, it'd be kicking my ass. So basically my days were 12 hours long from 06. I'd be up by around 05 or so, 06 to 19 doing admin work the first 5 days. It was a 7.5 hour drive down there during the work week, and by the time I left this morning, I was home in 5.5 hours. It takes 2 hours. The Keys are an archipelago that are about 120 miles long, and we were middle of the Keys. During normal business hours, it takes about 2 hours to go from the southern tip of the state down to Marathon, which is the halfway point. When there's no one out there, 70 miles an hour. So it took me a little less than 1 hour to get up out of the
11.5 volts.
Keys to the mainland, which was really a glorious thing. I used to serve down there when I first hired on with the agency. I worked in a town called Homestead in Dade County, and I encompassed the mainland prior to the Keys to another county called Collier and another one called Broward, and Keys being Monroe. I need to add some extra.
11.4 volts.
Day 3, my roommate got a cold,
1 minute.
and he gave it to me, and I'm trying. While we're down there, we got tagged for when we got back, so I've worked 10 days straight, 12-hour days minimum. We got tagged by the big boss to go haul some VIPs around from the airport, so that's what I'll be doing.
11.3 volts.
Tomorrow.
30 seconds.
Really nice to be home though. Oh my goodness. Hotel accommodations were great. They weren't just nice, they were great. They were quiet. The beds were amazing. And I found a tag on the pillows. I think I'm going to buy one.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 11.2 volts. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Really haven't been able to keep up with the forums. Just I'd pop in here and there. It looks like 302, Mr. 302, you've flown your convergence. And I've left a couple of queries. I think they were, do you have it? And well, the other one was not a query, it was a question or an observation that if you're not using your very best batteries, particularly when it's cold,
11.2 volts.
that thing is an amp hog. In fact, if you have one of those amp telemetry things, it'd be interesting to see what that bitch is pulling. I actually had one on mine, but I never actually used it for amps. I used it for voltage. I knew my batteries were good. So I'm off Monday, Tuesday, probably. Oh, I gotta go meet a fellow club member. Man, I need to write that down.
11.2 volts.
Not club member, but forum member. So I actually may go out to the club Monday morning. In fact, I will. And then I gotta get a blood draw Tuesday, so I'm not gonna be able to go down to the club. I'll probably just fly here as I can. The weather, it had been below freezing here for 2 or 3 days during the night.
11.1 volts.
Uh-oh. 7 minutes. Did you get it? She hadn't been down here in 3 weeks. I need to add expo to this damn thing. And then back to work Wednesday. I'm going to take the hours that I accrued over and I'm going to actually use those for leave. Or they'll have to pay me out, one of the two, we'll see. I'm still on track next month to deal with my medical issue. About this time next month, I will be free.
11 volts.
It's exciting and scary at the same time. Mr. 302, you got a new X9D. Did it ever gel with you? Oh, and here's something. If you are using a module, I used a module. I snapped that thing in 2 years ago and I never took it out.
11 volts.
Probably every now and again I'm going to unsnap it and reseat it because it was giving me spurious stuff on my little Timby. And as such, yeah, that may have been the cause of my crash with this one. I thought it was a spectrum issue. Well, it may have been a spectrum issue in the form of a DSM-X module.
11 volts.
Ellie, come. Well, she missed her daddy, and we had a nice reunion. But yeah, that was the best and worst deployment I ever been on, all in one deal. I started out with Hurricane Andrew in '91 and did a bunch of different deployments to include Katrina,
10.9 volts.
whatever the hell that was back in the O's. Hey, Owies. We're gonna run this thing down.